another episode of Two in the Cooler. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching and listening. We appreciate that very much. If you want to support the show even further, you can do yourself a big favor by checking out the merch. That's going to be at snackspot.se/creator/teespring.com. The link is going to be in this episode description and in our Instagram bio. It's so fucking hot right now. So what you're going to need is some t-shirts. And these t-shirts are not the bullshit t-shirts that you're getting from other, places trying to podcasts or, whatever, people trying to sell shirts for their events and stuff, okay? It's not that cheap brand that's basically like wearing a cardboard box. This is the real deal. I'm talking tri-blend material, folks, okay? That's Target quality t-shirts available right now at snackspot.se/creator/teespring.com. We've also got hoodies that are insanely comfortable and very light, so they're actually pretty good for summer. We've got pint glasses, bucket hats, fanny packs, slides. We've got slides now for Two in the Cooler and for Scheming and Dreaming. They're super, super nice. They're actually incredibly high quality. They're awesome. So you can find all of that at snackspot.se/creator/teespring.com. Merch, not just for this show, not just for Scheming and Dreaming, but also for the newest show that we produce right here, Quested. It's a D&D actual play podcast. Be sure to check those guys out and get yourself something nice in the merch store, something that's going to make you look good and feel good. Hot dogs, hamburgers, RC Cola. These are American staples, and if you're going to celebrate America right, you're going to need to stock up on them when the 4th of July comes around. It's coming very, very soon. The good news is, if you're looking for these items, you don't have to waste time going to the grocery store, dealing with the parking lots, wandering through the aisles, trying to get what everybody else is trying to get. No, you want to be back, you want to be drinking a beer, blowing up fireworks, whatever people do on the 4th of July. So don't waste your time going to the store. Just use Instacart, because with Instacart, you can get not just groceries, but some of your favorite products from some of your favorite local stores, all delivered right to your front door in as little as 1 hour. The best part is, right now, Two in the Cooler listeners get free delivery. That's free delivery on their first order of $10 or more. All you got to do is spend $10, and Instacart will deliver whatever you got right to your front door. Absolutely free. All you have to do is hit the link in this episode description and get yourself that deal. Start making things a little easier on yourself. Get the party started earlier with Instacart. And if you're interested in advertising on this show or our twin show, Scheming and Dreaming, or our newest show, Quested, a D&D actual play podcast, email snackspotsports@gmail.com for details on how you can start reaching thousands of listeners in the Buffalo area and beyond. Big companies are getting into podcasting, folks. McDonald's is the one that I always go to because that's insane. That's one of the biggest companies in the world, and they have started advertising on podcasts, along with State Farm, along with Tropicana, the king of juices. There's a reason for that, and it's because podcast advertising is incredibly effective, and it's cool that these companies are getting in the mix. The problem is, it doesn't leave any room for smaller local businesses to get in on the action, but that's why we are here. So if you're interested in learning more about all the benefits to podcast advertising, why these big companies are getting into the mix, hit us up, reach out, email us at snackspotsports@gmail.com. Okay. Oh yeah, we were talking about the Fly episode. But with because we just watched like the new Stranger Things and stuff, and that was
never seen it.
It's what? A good show. It's good, but I think that
about to say some stuff.
No. So you watch it,
yeah.
So I think if it had stopped after the first season, it would be a great show. Like, it would be a show that people talk about for decades. But I think it's just.
How many seasons is it?
4. The fourth one just came out.
Yeah. I think
part 2 drops tonight.
No, July 1st.
July 1st.
I think they pushed it back. Yeah. I think it was supposed to come out.
I seen something
today.
22.
Yeah.
July 1st now, though. But, no. Well, here's the thing. I get what you're saying, but I think that the 4th season is the best season since the first season. I think the way that...
But that's a long walk, though.
Yeah, no, I know. But do you know how much money that they made along the way? They don't care how long the walk is.
But you should.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just told you.
Is it better than Ozark?
See, I've never watched Ozark.
You watched Ozark?
No, because our parents watch it.
Yeah, like
so
my
that's
parents
an immediate.
So we're just
I'm not gonna Don't tell me you watch Bosch.
Yeah,
that's our favorite show is Bosch. Okay.
No, it's two different. It's two different. Like I started to compare that.
Bro,
Yeah,
you compare that shit.
Science
You just don't
fiction,
want
science
to.
fiction, 80s, and fucking Ozark's money laundering.
Mm-hmm.
People compare
I didn't
shit
even
all
know
the
that's
time.
what
Compare
Ozark
it.
was about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it takes place in New Orleans or something, right?
Like a small city outside Kansas or something.
Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like
The family is originally from Chicago, and then they moved to a smaller city.
yeah, and they have to launder money.
You guys both seem like big like TV guys, like show guys. Are you movie guys too, or just
Yeah.
I'm more of a movie guy than a
more
show
of a movie guy?
Yeah,
I'm more
I
of like
fuck,
a
I fuck with a
YouTube
good
baby.
movie.
Okay.
I like YouTube.
Yeah, I mean,
YouTube's the wave of the
You can-
future.
yeah, you can find
People
your
are
way to a
already on
rabbit
it,
hole.
but that's. Oh yeah.
I know.
Like I'm honestly not even a TV person. Like shows, I just like Ozark and like Snowfall. I like certain stuff. Like all the shows that everybody normally watches, I stay away from.
Yeah, you don't watch.
Like I've never seen Squid Game. None of that.
I like that. I like that.
I liked Squid Game.
No, I'd never watched Squid Games. I'm saying I like what Dante.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying I like Squid Games. No,
There's
I
something-
get that
no.
though. I go through phases. Like I'll go on like a 3-month stretch where I'll watch like 3 different shows, and then I'll go like a month where every night I watch a movie before I go to bed, and then I'll go a night where all I do is watch like live streams or like YouTube videos and stuff like that.
No, it's
It just I don't know.
You know
I
what
go
the
through phases.
problem is?
What?
I was watching something on Peacock today, and obviously Hulu does it too. But like when streaming services came out, the big sell was that there's no commercials.
Yeah, no
so
ads.
you pay a subscription fee, and then there's no commercials. Now you're still paying a subscription fee, but they've
With-
got commercials in it.
Yeah, that's
I don't
it.
watch
And if you want the commercials and ads gone, you
Pay
gotta pay
more.
a higher subscription fee.
Yeah, see,
Some-
I
yeah,
literally
sometimes.
I will not watch anything on Hulu. Like I just won't do it. I can't. I
feel you.
I can't
do it.
Like
I feel you.
like my girlfriend loves Desperate Housewives,
Mm-hmm.
and she watches it on. Or is that what that show's called?
The one with like the ladies in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it Real Housewives?
No,
No,
Desperate. I think
Desperate
Desperate
Housewives. My
Housewives.
mom used to watch
Yeah.
that.
Dude, and so I mean, you know how I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, dude, this fucking show's not half bad. Like I'll get into it, and then next thing you know, commercial. I'm like, all right, I'm checked out.
Yeah, I'm out of it.
Yeah.
It just feels like we've just
No,
gone
I-
through this big long loop at this point,
Yeah.
and it's bad. It's insane.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm not denying that it's ridiculous, but I won't sit there and watch commercials. Like when I watch live sports, like playoffs, right? It drives me up a wall having to sit there and watch commercials because it's the same commercials over and over and over.
Do you have
But-
YouTube Premium?
No, I watch like all the playoff. I have Sling TV. I don't know.
I bought YouTube Premium like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
had
do
it.
you get
I've been thinking
YouTube
I
about
did the
TV
free
too?
trial for like a month, and I was like, I really need it back.
Yeah.
Do you
'Cause
get
I have
YouTube
ads.
TV too? Like, can you
No,
watch?
that's a separate thing.
But you have access to like the YouTube series shows that they create.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't even know. they
And
did
like
that.
no ads before the videos and stuff,
Yeah.
or in the middle. It makes
Yeah.
a huge difference, especially
Well,
if you're
even
listening to like podcasts
even
on
now
YouTube and
on
that.
like Amazon Prime, you have to start with an ad. Like they
Yeah.
won't give you ads
Right,
during whenever
right.
you're watching.
You can
but
skip those
start.
pretty fast though.
Still, I don't want to have to. Then you have to,
Right,
Yeah,
find
you
the
gotta find
remote
the
and
remote.
stuff.
and then yeah.
Fuck up the
Those
vibe.
And then the skip
bastards.
button's gone, and then 40 minutes go by, and you're still watching the fucking Hyundai commercials.
That's why advertising on TV is such a racket because, I mean,
Really?
like back in the day, obviously, you weren't going to stand up to change the TV like that. But even now, we're too lazy to like find the remote. And I'm not sure laziness is even the full part of it. It's just they know that people are just going to sit there and like accept
That's a
their fate.
Yeah.
we need to get live sports like Europe does it with soccer.
Yeah,
How to
where they
have
just
that-
have no commercials.
No commercials, just have the ads
Halftime.
on the outside.
And then halftime commercial. See, but like sports are starting to do that more, where they'll do like football does it now, hockey does it now. I
Football
don't know if
needed that.
basketball does it, but they'll do like the in between snaps. They'll throw a commercial like on the side of the screen. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
yeah.
They
Oh,
give
yeah.
you the
Yeah.
mini screen, and then they'll have a commercial going on. Which I would be fine if they only did that, but then
Yeah, I
They
haven't
do it all
seen-
the time.
I haven't seen basketball do that.
yeah, like hockey does it.
Football
The
does
problem, dude,
Yeah, I've seen football
hockey
do it.
the way that commercials work in NHL games is the most ridiculous fucking thing ever. It drives me crazy because there's set times every single game, and it's like as predictable as they come. And so there's no commercials for the first 7 minutes of a period, 20-minute periods, no commercials for the first 7 minutes. and then they have one at like 13, 8, and 5 because they clean the ice when they do it.
Oh,
So it's like rapid fire at the end of it. It's so annoying. Like,
I can see that.
yeah,
vibe.
because it's like it's coming, and
Yeah.
you're like fuck. It's nice in the sense where if you have to like get up and do something, like you're like, oh shit, I gotta switch my laundry or something.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know I'm gonna have
that's
a
pretty
3
much what I
minute
use ads for.
Yeah, to do stuff. The
That's true.
problem is if you don't have it, if you're just sitting there and an ad comes on, I always will start scrolling my phone. And then I'll look up, and it's been like 45 minutes. And if it's a show, I miss the entire thing. I'm watching 60 minutes at this point. And
And
like,
then when you rewind it back, you still have to watch an ad before
Yeah.
you can start watching the show
Yep.
again.
God damn.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, they got us good. What are you gonna do?
Just getting heated over here. It is a lost art, though, like, trying to get things done just during, like, the 3 minutes of commercials on a show. Like, remember, like, way back when, like, a commercial would show up? You were alive when this was going on. But, like, we'd watch, like, in a
Set
sitcom on
change?
NBC. And then it was like, oh, now we've got, like, 3 minutes. Go to the bathroom, get a snack, and, like, try and get back in time because you weren't able to rewind or whatever. It's a lost art because now you just pause everything. Things are better. But it was still kind of exciting about that. Sound like an old man.
Yeah, a little bit.
We're moving on. I really appreciate you guys making the trip out here and coming to the studio and hanging out with us.
Appreciate
Yeah,
y'all
no
inviting
doubt,
us,
man.
man.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
It's a dope studio, a
Yeah,
dope
fuck with
setup.
it.
Oh, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we've had to change some things around with the new show Quested and stuff. That's where we have that TV up there and things like that. At some point, I think we'll find something to like do
Yeah,
with that.
We're
but
just gonna start watching stuff on that TV.
that's a
while we
problem.
record.
Is like
Yeah.
I don't want the
Yeah.
whole show to just be like, oh, pull up this video. And
When
stuff.
we-
I mean, there's
yeah.
something to that,
When we,
but
yeah, it would get out of hand. Though.
Yeah, for sure.
When what we should do is I have an idea for it. But
okay.
Yeah.
You want to save it?
I mean, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
We do a lot of well, I wasn't gonna because it's just an unnecessary like conversation
No, I
to
wanna
have
know,
right
though.
now.
I
But
wanna
yeah,
know.
what we need to do is have like it needs to be me too. It can't be anybody else. I'll have a laptop right here, and so that when I'm fact checking stuff for everybody, I don't have to relay stats. Just
Oh
put
yeah,
it-
like when we look up like heights and stuff.
yeah,
Like how tall
or
is Jackie
dates,
Chan.
whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But as I was saying, appreciate you guys coming on because your podcast is so good. I would say that as far as like if people want to get an idea of the music scene in Buffalo, the two places to go are your podcast and Sneak Vibing
Facts.
blog.
Facts. Appreciate that.
Which my question for you though is, so what do you guys use to find? Because you guys have great fucking guests. Obviously, Chandra from Sneak Vibing, like I said, Amber Simone, Brother Tom, you guys have had on, right? We were just talking about DJ 360. How do you guys find guests for the show? Like, where do you look?
Honestly, like I was looking. I went to performing arts, and so I know a lot of artists just as friends. And my brother, who's older than me, Origino, he's an artist who happens to be like 3.5 years older than me. So he was cool with all the slime shack when the scene was really like starting, and like when Westside and all them started bubbling. Like in Atlanta, Buffalo was still doing their thing here. So I met everybody, and this is before I even thought about doing a podcast. So I was like, well, I do know a lot of people. Let me see what I can get out of this, and it snowballed into what we got right now.
It does seem like that. Okay, that makes sense because it does seem like you guys looked around and you're like, something's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are making moves in the city, but there's no show like what you guys built.
Yeah.
And
You
like
guys
I said,
really filled the
like
space.
I said earlier, like I'm a YouTube person, so I was always watching like Breakfast Club interviews, Hot 97 interviews, different podcasts. When Everyday Struggle had their show with Joe Budden and Academics.
Same.
So like I noticed that Buffalo had a rising music hip hop scene, and there were no like shows or anything like that other than like 93.7 WBOK, but they'll have somebody up there to do like a 5-minute censor interview, and that's it. Like there was no long form content to tell these people's stories that are on the come up. So
Yeah.
That's a problem with traditional media in general. You know, it's the same thing with like late night talk shows and stuff. Like somebody goes and they sit down for like 7 minutes. It's all fucking planned out and like shitty. Like people right now, I think, are buying into people. They buy into personalities, and the only way to get to know somebody is to have a long form conversation with them. You know, and not necessarily just talk about the things that a lot of people are already going to know. right? Like let's get into it. Let's get a little of their personality show and
like
stuff.
why are you attracted to making music this way? Why do you think this way? Childhood upbringing, all that type of stuff.
What separates you from the other 80 artists who dropped the album yesterday?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I didn't like. It was a lot of artists that I didn't like prior to me hearing the interview. Then I was like, oh shit, I look like Action Bronson. I didn't.
Same.
I first heard him, I'm like, oh, this dude's being corny. He's trying to sound like Ghostface. Then
yeah.
I saw him in the interview. I'm like, oh shit, this is actually who he is. Let me buy in. And I'm like, oh, I fuck with this dude.
That is my go-to example as well, dude. I saw him like his Hot Ones interview.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing I saw, and I had like bought his book. Like he put out like a memoir or whatever. I bought that because I was like, I like what this dude is about. Like I don't even listen to his music honestly, but like I'm just a fan of his.
I'm like that with a few artists too. It's like who was I like that with? Like even before like I started listening to Nipsey, like I was a big fan of him before I even listened to his music. And it's like those interviews allow you to get to know the person that really like develops like a relationship with the music. And it's, like him, Earl Sweatshirt, I started fucking with because I listened to his interviews. Shit, like I always fuck with Dolph, but they just have great interviews. It's like I feel like that's what separates like a regular artist, short-term artist, from like a legacy artist.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you're an artist and you do a good interview and people can relate to it, and they're like, oh, like I could be friends with this guy. It's almost like the good version of that fucking thing they say about politics all the time. Like, oh, he looks like a guy you could have a beer with. But in this case, that's like a good thing.
Yeah.
If you can relate to somebody like that and make them feel that way, I mean, they're going to be ride or die with you. You got a fan for life.
That's a fact.
And then even if you don't necessarily like their music, or maybe the music they currently have out, when they drop again, you're going to tune in because you listened to a podcast or whatever where you fell in love with their personality. So it's like, okay, I'm going to give the music another try. Versus I heard it one time, I throw this shit in the trash, never listen again.
Now, that's a great call. And even if you continue to not like their music, sometimes they'll just give it a click because, like, let's get the view. Like, I want to support this guy.
Exactly.
Like, let's get the views up on this or whatever.
You might buy some merch even if you don't listen to it or like that album. You might like a T-shirt they have.
Yeah.
And if you know or if you just feel like you know the person, I mean, it's still cool to have a shirt even if you don't listen to his music. I say that all the time because notoriously when we're on here, and we've had a lot of different artists of all kinds on, and I say like I don't really listen to a ton of music. Like I know like. I've just never been somebody who's like, oh, like, and any genre. I just don't really listen to music, especially now. Like I still listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. But I like having musicians come in here and artists, whoever, to talk to them because I do that. I ask a lot of stupid questions, but it's fun to talk to people like that and get to hear, things outside of what they're doing in music, because a lot of people also
they don't want to talk about music all the time.
And
normal people who like other shit,
and like a lot of people we have will come on and they'll come on to at some point promote their music, like because they're whether there's something coming out or they already have something out they want people to listen to, and then you start talking to them and they're like, oh yeah, I do a lot of like side content like that the people that are listening to their music probably don't even know about because they're not talking about it, right? Like so everybody's doing so many different things now, and it's good to be able to put a light onto those things.
Facts. Yeah, in this industry, it's like you have to kind of be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So it's like Morrow, for example, amazing producer, and then it's like he's like when he started doing videography, I was like, oh shit. Then he starts picking up instruments, and then like started doing like
Dude, some people are so talented, it's fucked. Like people ask me all the time, like, oh, like especially like. You guys we didn't get into it, thankfully. It's almost like a fear of mine. We go to start the show, Andrew will go to the bathroom, and people will start asking me, like, about our equipment and, like, the way that we do things. And I'm like, I have no fucking idea, dude. I literally do not, outside of sit here and talking to this mic and show up to events every once in a while, I have almost no clue what goes on here. And that's why, thankfully, Andy is the way he is. I'm still not super happy about the Emily hire, but I'm kind of over that at this point. It's been long enough. She's part of this crew now, I guess. So,
hey, but that's why it works, kid, because you're the face of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to do it. I just,
I was out. at this bar a couple weeks ago, and we're brothers. I don't know if you guys know that, but we're brothers. And so I was talking about Matthew, and the bartender goes, "Oh, Matt Canada, do you know Two in the Cooler?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do actually."
I'm one.
I'm one of the two. I'm in the cooler.
Yeah. Like, no, I actually never heard of it.
Yeah. What is that? See what you? Oh, it's a shitty ass fucking podcast. Yeah. She just buries it right to your face.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Oh, thanks. You walk out. Yeah.
That's funny.
Somebody's got to be the face, though, Matthew, and I'd much rather it be.
I don't
you
know
than
how
me.
much longer it can be me, man.
Oh, it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be. You're growing the beard out. Like it's looking full now.
I'm just have to start taking care of my body a little bit more, I guess.
I mean, for a while, it was kind of like that with us. Like, I did a lot of the production, editing, video, all that stuff. And then he would be the one that would be, like, out at events, networking, talking to people.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is like, when we first started this, and I kind of want to hear, I want to ask you guys this, too. Like, when we first started this, it was right when the pandemic started. Like, it might have even been a text you sent me, like, the week before everything closed down.
I think it was, like, 2 weeks after it closed down. Or it might have been the week everything closed down. It was like right when it happened.
And Andrew, did a bunch of film stuff at Fredonia. He had another show at the time already that he was just kind of doing for fun. And he texted me and was like, "We should do a podcast." And I was like, "Dude, I could talk to anybody. Like, I would love to do a podcast. People aren't going to want to listen to what I have to say, but I'll sit there and talk." And that's kind of how it started. And thank God Andrew knew what he was doing, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know that this podcast would have really got off the ground. So you guys both went to school together, or just happened to go to the same school at different times?
We went to high school together.
Oh,
He's
okay.
a couple years older than me. And then I ended up going to Fredonia, and then he ended up transferring to Fredonia.
Gotcha.
He took a break from school and ended up transferring when I was a senior.
Gotcha.
So then the roles reversed, where I was a senior and he was the sophomore.
Yeah.
So
You were showing him around.
Yeah, it was funny because I didn't see him for about like 6 years, and we were playing basketball. I was a senior. I'm like the older captain and all this shit. He was like here. He was like here to me, and then I see him next time. I said, I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Like, this dude is like, I'm like, okay, you the big man now. Oh, okay.
So then, like, the second you guys kind of like met back up again, was it like music? You guys started talking music like right away, and it just kind of.
Shit. Nah, we were just like hanging out.
Yeah,
like,
we just kicking it.
Me and my friends, we had a show already at Fredonia called Higher Society, and we had him as a guest for one of the episodes, and that was one of like my favorite episodes. So like after I graduated, like we were talking about seeing a Buffalo music scene, what we were into. I brought the idea to him. Well, probably like a year later after I graduated, he came back to Buffalo. I brought the idea to him about starting a podcast, how we should do it, et cetera, et cetera. But he was going to Africa.
Yeah.
So we had to take like a pause on it, and we ended up starting kind of like you guys did, like right before the pandemic. Well, no, he went to Africa. Then when he came back, I broke my ankle. Yeah. So then that set us back even further. And then we ended up starting probably like December 2019.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
So you guys
were
were
before.
Just before. Yeah, you guys started.
We started off doing like a weekly podcast,
Gotcha.
like with us two and two of our friends, where we just like sit in my living room, talk about like music topics, pop culture, all that type of shit. But our plan was to always have like where us two branched off and started doing the interviews with the artists, but it just happened sooner than we expected it to, because the other two guests, they were musicians, so they wanted to focus more on that side, which we knew it was going to happen, but it just happened sooner.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, man. But at least you two like have each other and are like committed to it, because that's the most difficult thing, honestly.
Yeah, and I knew that from the get-go, and it was like I kind of saw how like passionate he was about like videography and like getting better at that. I was like, yeah, I can work with him any day. Plus, I known him since we was in high school. So I was like, yeah, somebody I could actually hang out with him too. I was like,
which is big. I mean, you got to be able to, because like we talk about all the time with some of the guys from our other shows too. Like, it's once you get in here, it's always fun sitting around and shooting. It's like around every time. You know what I mean? You're just sitting around, hanging out, talking. But I mean, there's also a lot of other shit that goes on. It's sometimes the hard part is getting here, right? Like you have a busy day, like, and you can't just decide one day you're not gonna, you can't just we're not gonna put out an episode this week. Like, it just doesn't work like that. So
There's a lot of days I didn't want to pod.
Yeah. I know.
Then it becomes a habit.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You
like
take that
you know,
one day off, then it becomes a habit.
yeah. You give yourself an excuse. Like I've done it before, but that is how it is. Like once you're sitting here talking, it's like
Yeah, it starts flowing.
Yeah.
Because I was driving back and forth from Fredonia. Like when we first started doing the podcast, I'm like, I was already in RA. I was on e-boards of groups and shit. So I'm like, I did not want to fucking drive to Fredonia only free day of the week.
Yeah.
We went from Buffalo to Fredonia back at the same night. I'm like, I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah, it's a grind. I mean,
we grinded it out.
Andrew
makes all the difference, though. You know.
Yeah.
It's part of the story, part of the
Yeah,
journey.
exactly.
Yep.
Say the journey's the best part.
Yeah. I wonder.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Nah, I will
never
say
know
though,
until
like
you look back.
it's-
exactly.
like sometimes you think to yourself, like, because I don't know how you guys did it, but we did it over Zoom through that whole first like
Forever.
8 months or so, like all through the pandemic, and convenient, I guess, because you don't have to actually get up and go anywhere. But it was such a pain in the ass all the time, like dealing with issues every time you got on, right, and dealing with audio issues and having to ask our guests because they're zooming in too, right? So having to ask them to record their own, sound on their end just in case it cuts out. And at the time, we were just starting. A lot of the guests that we had on weren't necessarily, they were just people that we knew in everyday life, right? And we were just trying to, have people on to talk about whatever. So they didn't have, mics or headphones or. I mean, I remember like we had definitely some crazy Zoom episodes, but it's fun.
Yeah,
it was
a lot
fun.
of technical difficulties, but that's a thing, and I wonder. I don't if you guys like ever have to do anything like this, but you want to kind of ask as little of your guest as possible. Like you don't want to put anything on them.
Yeah, they should
right?
be able to come in, kick their feet up.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's how they get comfortable, and that's something that you guys do really well. Is people seem to be like very open with you guys. They seem to like, especially the setup that you guys had. Like the last couple episodes of this season with the couches and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Those
like, that looks
couches,
very
I could
comfortable.
definitely pot on those couches.
Well, we won't be potting on those couches anymore.
Yeah.
We got the new spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see how that.
Have you guys got to record an episode there that you put out already, or not yet?
No, we didn't put any out yet.
Yeah.
But
But
we recorded
okay.
one.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna. So we've been on break. Season 4 starts in July.
Gotcha.
So
Soon.
we'll just say that very
Soon.
very soon.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. It's fun when you get like when you're there, you know what I mean, and you're in a different spot and changes everything up.
Hell yeah! So once we start getting our first couple artists in there, then it's really going I feel like it's going to snowball crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got a different kind of vibe about this one.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, listen. I remember it's exciting. But it's also nice, too, that you guys have, like almost exclusively these artists on, like people that are comfortable talking into a mic, because we've ran into that problem, too.
Yeah.
Like, all of our guests are fantastic, but sometimes you come in here, and next thing you know, you're sitting at a table with lights on you and cameras on you, and people, like, get a little timid, and you got to
That's kind of like what you were saying earlier. Musicians are the best to talk to because they're always down for, like, basically whatever. Like, they're obviously... to be at the level where you would want to talk to them or whatever, and you know what I mean. They're very creative folks, right? So like, yeah, we talk about the music, but like, P. Millie, for example, every time that he is in here, for some reason, we start talking about like artificial intelligence and like how our phones are like just weird stuff like that.
a lot of conspiracy theory
I'm
talk.
scared of all that shit.
I love
because
the conspiracy theory talk. We shy away from it because it's like we will get lost.
Yeah, no,
We'll make
trust
that
me.
the whole
There was
episode.
a whole. We did like an hour and 20-minute episode one time. It was just Andrew and I, and like 40 minutes of it was me trying to explain this documentary I watched about this guy who claims to have found Atlantis. And dude, I was like, and he was sitting there listening to me like just dead in his eyes. I'm like, dude, how are you not excited about what I'm talking about? This dude is on the screen telling you that he found the lost city of Atlantis. Like, what the fuck are you not understanding?
I mean, how's that going to help us?
I think he gave me a sympathy, like, I guess I'll have to go watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll happen to us, and we'll have to like kind of catch each other like All right, like I'll get into it. He'll just like cut me off and ask a question. I'm
like reel it in.
I'm like, yeah, I know why he did that.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes that's what's gonna happen, but sometimes you gotta steer into the skid, man. You gotta let it go.
See, that's why I was excited to come up here because it's like you guys like let it. You just let it
yeah,
run.
I'll talk about anything. Yeah, it is what it is. Wherever my brain goes.
You seen the Google AI engineer?
I did see
I'm
that.
Terrified.
Yes. Now, whenever somebody like comes out, like a whistleblower, essentially like that, I'm always like very skeptical. I don't know, like I don't want to jump to conclusions or anything. I will say it does seem apparent to me that if Google had some shit like that going on, of course they'd deny it. They wouldn't
For sure.
because they're still trying to figure out how to make money off of it. I'm sure whatever it is. And they're playing right into that thing's hands.
My thing is like that shit said, yeah, if you turn me off, I think I'd get upset. I was like, why is your Google chat saying
that I
be
didn't
upset
see.
if you close it? Like,
Yeah, you gotta shut that shit off.
Yeah,
you got it.
Wait, so there was
terrified.
there was stuff released that like was the AI talking? Because I just saw that the guy like came out and said that stuff.
He was having a conversation with the Google chat about whether or not like it has feelings or not, and it's like you program me, you can look at my code and da 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 da. It's like that's too much code. How am I gonna look into your code?
Less code. We need less code.
See, I wouldn't see that. That's showing your hand to the machine right there. Like, I can't look through that code, and the machine's thinking like, I'm cycling through this code like every 10 seconds, dude.
So I am smarter than you.
Yeah, that thing's gonna take over. What are you gonna do?
Now my heart's starting to beat.
It's gonna happen
It's
eventually.
like nobody has ever seen iRobot.
Yeah,
Or
or
dude, came out
fucking
so long
Terminator.
ago.
yeah,
Right.
dude, it happened to Dwight in The Office. Like, we're never gonna win, folks. It's just too powerful. They don't need to sleep, man.
That's why Elon's trying to come up with that Neuralink, man.
Yeah,
Which is
Elon's-
also crazy, though.
Elon's gonna save us.
Yeah,
We'll
dude,
see.
this is totally random, but I don't get like into a lot of it. Like, I think the ideas that he has are cool, and I think he's hysterical on Twitter. Like the fact that he was like, I don't care about anything else, right? Like but I did hear somebody again. I was listening to the radio, and somebody called in bitching that completely out of nowhere. This was sports radio. Called in and said something about electric cars, and the guy the guy on the radio instantly kind of got like a little suspect about it, like weird topics to start off at, and the guy started going on a rant saying that it's bullshit that if you buy an electric car, you get a $7,500 tax rebate, but not if it's a Tesla. Tesla's the only electric car that you don't get it on.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh, Elon's
This guy got cut up.
I'm
This
knocking it now.
no, I don't think the way. I mean, again, and this guy, I have no clue who he is. Could be a very unreliable source. Did no research. This was an hour and a half ago, but he was making it sound like Elon was bitching about it, like saying like, why is Tesla the only electric car that doesn't like if you buy it they don't get these rebates. So I don't think it was Elon's idea. I don't know, but I'm
Just because they look good.
yeah.
Like, that's what you're getting. Those they do look good.
They look nice.
do look good. I've never been inside a Tesla, but like I see them driving around once in a while. I like the handle. Does that handle like pop out?
I don't trust.
I don't know.
Teslas. They got like a whole tablet right
Yeah,
there.
when I was gonna say,
when
that's
they finally
pretty
decide to take over, what are we gonna do?
I worked at
I'm just gonna be trapped inside my Tesla.
I worked at Delta
But you know
Sonic when
what?
I
That's
was in
probably
high
the
school.
best case scenario though for when that shit starts coming after us. Because
No,
the rest of us are going to be beaten to death by those fucking Boston Dynamics dogs or whatever.
No, that thing's gonna.
That thing's scary.
Teslas, yeah. Teslas might turn on you quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Unless Elon does have master code to control all Teslas. Dude, what is that movie? It's Fast and Furious.
Which one? Fast and Furious 17?
Yeah.
Because
Hey,
there's like
don't
30 of them.
Yeah, don't disrespect that movie series. Where all the cars, where they fuck you guys. Where that girl like hacks into the chip in every single
mainframe?
car and makes all the cars like drive after one car. You've never seen that part? And like there's cars like flying out of parking ramp just in the middle of New York City streets.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, like Elon Musk has that ability, but he would just use them to like probably take everybody to the nearest spaceship and go to his house on Mars and just restart Earth over there.
You really think Elon Musk is like going to save us? You think he's like gonna do something good?
I don't
for
think that
people?
he's on the side of the other people.
You don't think he's on the dark side?
I don't necessarily think he's on our side. He might
Sure.
have just his own agenda, but I don't think he's on the dark side.
Well, I think the thing about Elon is he's smart enough, and he also doesn't care what other people
I think his thing is
Yeah.
he's just too curious and too smart.
Yeah.
And he knows that he knows that because he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Sure.
Built up these companies, PayPal, Tesla, that pretty much anything he puts his mind to, he can do. So any idea he has, he's
Where
going to
are
try
those
to bring
tunnels?
it.
Where are the
He's going to
tunnels,
try and
Elon?
bring it to fruition. And
Yeah.
that might be a good thing. That might be a bad
I
thing.
love
I
watching
think that
videos
is
of those
true, man.
rockets land. I think that's the coolest thing ever.
The
You never-
SpaceX ones?
Yeah.
I've never seen them land before.
Oh my god! Because like they launch, but that's his
Yeah.
whole thing is they're reusable. So they land
huge.
like they come down on these pads and they just set themselves down and they're just fucking throw some more gas in them. They're ready to rip again. I don't know if it's that easy, but
I wonder. I do think what you said about him being curious is a good call. That's a good quality. Curious people, I think, usually.
yeah, but
Just
you could
end
be
up
too
doing
curious.
good
Curiosity
that's
killed
what
the
I'm
cat,
saying.
man.
Yeah, I guess so. But however, the cat's the one getting hurt in that situation, right? Not the anybody else in that household. Like the worst thing that happens to you if you're too curious is like you get fucking cursed like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, the
or
thing I
something.
will say though is I think it helps Elon that he is such a public figure now because I do think that the dark side that you referred to probably would have.
They have a problem with
Well,
it.
I know, but
Yeah.
they can't straight up shut him down because if something like that ever happened, like people aren't dumb enough to be like, oh, that's
Yeah.
just a coincidence. Like
He tweeted about the shit and all that.
yeah,
shit.
but that's what I mean. Like he would make it so public and he wouldn't care because he has that platform and like I feel like that would actually hurt the people that do want to stop that curiosity because I think that would inevitably make even some of their most like loyal believers realize like, wait a minute, like why I don't know about
Have
that.
you guys seen the show on Showtime, The Man Who Fell to Earth?
No, I think I've heard of that though.
You should watch that.
I gotta
shit.
watch that one.
I don't want to spoil it, but it's around this conversation right here.
Really?
It's a series, or
Yeah, it's a series. It's like eight episodes in.
You're not gonna watch it.
Yeah, you're.
he told me about it before, and I asked the same question probably.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do though when somebody tells you,
Yeah.
like, because there's so much fucking shit now. Like, if somebody tells you about the show, like, I do want to watch that because I like the look you had in your eye, Nelson. I was like, okay, I trust this guy. But when people tell you about shows, they're like, oh, you got to watch it. That's all you can do though. Like, yeah, okay,
Show a little bit of interest to make them feel good, and
I
then move
know.
on.
But deep down, you both know, both the people in that situation know they're not watching that.
But that's something that I'm interested in. I just
Yeah.
don't be finding time to watch TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too.
Well, that's my favorite question too. Whenever anybody tells me about a show, how many episodes? Like how many seasons? And if it's like anything over 8, you can be like, it's too many. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many good excuses. If somebody's like, well, it's 6 seasons, but they're only 40-minute episodes. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll finish that by 2030. Like, I'm not watching that show. I can't watch that show.
Nah, I feel that.
and like new things come out.
Yeah,
and that stuff
then
falls off.
then you're just.
See, I love a good show that's like, but like in the most recent, like my favorite shows have been getting canceled after like 1 or 2 seasons. Like Lovecraft Country, I love that.
Yeah.
That shit was dope.
But that was
Got
only
canceled.
written for 1 season.
That shit. They had the
You
second
think it
season.
could have continued with what's homeboy name that died? The main character.
Yes.
I don't think it could have continued without him.
Oh, see
The
this? You think there's a script out there?
There was a
We can
script.
find that.
They were gonna
No,
do
yeah.
a war where the
They writ
Confederacy
additional.
won.
They writ additional stuff like through the season because they seen how successful it was. But
Yeah.
originally, when they started that show, it was only made for 1 season.
See, and
It was what was it like? It was a mini series. That was literally what it
That
was
shit
called.
was fire.
Oh yeah.
it's what I was saying about Stranger Things right up top. It would have ruined it. I guarantee you. There's no way it could live up to the hype
I do.
of the first
Like
season.
the way it ended, I think was perfect. Like they definitely could have continued it, but it probably would have watered it down.
Absolutely,
but
that
I think
always
it would have
happens.
been. I think
It's-
it would have been great.
But you can never win because I agree. Like, even the most perfect of endings, like, you're like, dude, but you can always find a way where, like, you want to know more.
Yeah.
That's why I think spinoffs aren't a half bad idea. Because a spinoff doesn't necessarily take away from the original show.
What-
Like,
yeah.
and by talk about Breaking Bad, I'm talking about, like, Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Like, right, or anything like that. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
Like
I would say that's an outlier, though. Both of
no,
those shows.
No, but I'm saying, yeah, because it was good. But I'm saying, then you don't have to ruin the way that the actual show would end. But
Yeah.
you can answer questions that didn't get answered because they didn't necessarily need to get answered in the show for it to end. But people that were really into it want answers to that shit. Is that how, like, if there's it's so hard to end a show.
Yeah, just let him go.
It's so hard to fuck you guys. I'm just I had one more thing. And now you guys are the ones prolonging it. It's so hard to end a show perfectly. Like you can't end it perfectly because you either have to leave something on the table or else you have to run it out until it's not good anymore.
Or sometimes it'll feel too like fanfare-y, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a big problem that some shows have these days. Like
or
they're trying
Rush.
to-
I hate when
Rush
shit ends
for
with
sure.
Rush.
Big
I think
time.
they fucked up the Matrix like with this last rendition of it.
Uh-huh.
Like what most people don't know is like the Terminator and the Matrix is like supposed to be within like the same story. Like John Connor and
Man,
Neo.
what YouTube channel did you watch? Did you learn this out?
I swear, the lady who wrote the Matrix,
Yeah.
like she sued the Wassberg brothers or whatever their
The
name is,
Wachowskis.
Wachowski brothers. She sued them because like they took her comic book. It was called Matrix One, it's called the Third Eye series or something, Matrix One, something like that. And Sophia Stewart, she wrote a story that was like about a kid being born and the AI coming to kill it, and that's the whole story, like Terminator, and the aliens the machines trying to kill him, and then Neo and them is like after the war, they get sent underground, and they're still trying to fight the war.
Interesting. I never knew that. I thought the Wachowskis had developed that from the beginning. Like I knew there was a comic book, but I thought they wrote it.
Nah, they lost the lawsuit and all that shit.
Really? Love to see it.
But the crazy thing is like, because now that they switched their gender, now there's an issue. It's like, okay, they have a new identity. Is the people who sue, are they still liable for
who switched their gender?
the
both
Wachowski
the
brothers?
Wachowski brothers are trans. They're both women now.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, because they changed their identity, do they pay
Right.
the old
Are they different
fees?
Get the
people?
Wow.
But how?
Nah.
But no, for sure. But how does that work out legally though?
Well, that's
Like,
what
do
he's
they have a
saying. They
case for
don't
that?
know.
Yeah.
But my thing is,
Is that what
why is there even like a discussion like we don't know? These were the people who you sue and not have to pay the money. All they did was change
Loophole.
the gender.
Instant loophole.
Loopholes.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, people could just start doing that
Yeah.
now,
Oh,
right?
I guarantee you
I mean, is
somebody
that what
saw
happened to
that and was
Caitlyn?
like,
They have to literally
light
pass
bulb.
it back.
Artists
Light
do
bulb.
that. Prince did that with they had a contract. What is in perpetuity
Yep.
for the name Prince. Well, I'm going to change my name to
An artist
an
named
artist
Prince.
formerly known
Yeah.
as Prince.
Yeah.
You don't have a contract with an artist formerly known as Prince. That's an LLC in itself. I'm going to release music under that.
And I'm gonna go by this symbol. Prince is a
So
legend. man.
interesting. Oh,
Prince is a
he
legend.
was
Laws.
the best.
Yeah, law is crazy.
Like, man, you just hear story. I mean, I don't think there'll ever be guys like that ever again, where you just hear stories about him, and he sounds like a mythical creature
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Sound
Like he just appears in a cloud of
Mm-hmm.
smoke, and then the next second he's gone. Like that's Prince.
And then like there's these crazy stories about him, but like people who people revere and respect constantly like validate these facts about him though.
Yeah.
Like the Dave Chappelle skits and Dave Chappelle actually saying like, nah, Prince was nice at basketball.
yeah, dude, we've talked about that story on here before because we did Prince for Hoopin' of the Week once, and
Oh yeah.
that is that story is so funny to me.
And the way that they like did that on Chappelle's show, that's like
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the funniest things from that show.
Man, Charlie Murphy's Hollywood stories are like cemented in some of like the best storytelling.
100%. That guy, Charlie Murphy. I mean, he literally just like people started to approach him to do like stand up at different venues and stuff, and he was not a stand up. They were just approaching him because, you know, Eddie's like his brother. But he got up there and he was just so good immediately that he was like, comics and everybody respected him right off the bat. They're like, I mean, look, this guy didn't necessarily work his way through the clubs, but you can't say that he's not
Yeah, you can't deny
a
him.
spectacular storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, man, that guy was the
R.I.P.
best.
Long live.
R.I.P. Charlie
Seriously.
Murphy, man. R.I.P. Patrice O'Neal. Patrice O'Neal is like one of my favorite like comics. Like he's your comics comic. Every comic stand-up comedian was terrified of him. It was like he's a goat. He's a goat.
I don't know that anybody has brought up Patrice like in this room before. But you're absolutely right, man. I don't know. Yeah.
He started like he had a podcast in 2010, 11.
Yeah.
And like it was like this is before people didn't even know what a fucking podcast was.
Didn't even
And
exist then.
Yeah, they
man,
say that
he
like
would have
him
been.
and Combat Jack, like those type of people, they were like some of the first. I think Rosenberg and Seif had a podcast as well. Like,
Yeah, honoring him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If Patrice were alive, he'd be the biggest media personality in the whole world.
Independent.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he would just fucking cuss out any executive who tried to try to tell him to do anything else.
He was built for the media landscape of today.
Yeah,
like
social media.
They tried to, give him like that Comedy Central show or whatever, and then did you see that documentary that like Bill Burr did? They show clips of it, and like people are trying to, people come in and they're giving him notes, like trying to change it, like especially with Patrice. Like, can you imagine giving that fucking guy notes, like on multiple levels? One, because he obviously doesn't give a shit, and he'll tell you straight to your face anything. But like, but I mean, a spectacular brain, such a unique, funny guy. Like, just fucking leave him alone.
Yo, go check him out. Like, if you haven't heard Patrice O'Neal,
Elephant in the Room, one of the best comedy specials.
literally, Opie and Anthony show.
Oh my God, he was so good on that show.
Hilarious.
Tough Crowd. You ever watch some of his Tough Crowd clips?
Crowd. It's like him, Kevin Hart's on there.
Yeah,
like,
and he
early
man,
90s.
he dunks on Kevin Hart on that show. It's incredible. God, he was the fucking best.
Good.
That guy was so funny.
Rest in peace of Patrice, man. What else? Who else were we gonna talk about?
I'm just watching Andy shake his head.
It's just it would have been he would have been incredible. He would have been.
If you listen to some of his takes, you would be like, holy shit! Like, watch him on Fox News. He was arguing with a news anchor about Donnie Imus saying nappy headed hoes. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to her, and she was like, "Oh, this is terrible. Needed censorship." Da 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 da. He was like, "How are you going to censor funny? Like, you can't tell me like you can't. I'm a comedian. My job is to test the line to see whether or not this is funny or not.
Yeah.
My job is to make the mistake. If not, like it's either funny or it's not."
Yeah.
And he was just like, he rips her apart. He has her laughing and shit on there. Like, he makes a joke about like a donkey punch, and she's fucking crying laughing while she's trying to defend all women. Like, the shit is classic.
Yeah, you gotta look him up, Matthew. You would love him. He man.
I do love funny things like that.
Yeah, and God. Yeah, nobody could have beat that guy in an argument on
And
anything. Even if he didn't believe what he was saying, he could choose the side that he didn't like and still win an argument about it. Like, he was that good.
He's elite.
Yeah.
One of my favorite like stand-ups right now too is Ali Sadiq. You ever heard the story Mexican got on boots?
I don't think so.
Yo, if you take some time, like watch that fucking story. It's one of the best stories.
See, too
I've
bad
heard
we
in
don't
the
have the
past
fucking
couple
TV working.
Yeah,
we
can
watch
pull
it.
that up.
Yo,
Yeah.
Ali Sadiq is fire. He just dropped a comedy special. They dropped his comedy special from HBO. It was like he said something about like he's Muslim and he said something about like gay marriage or something like that. So they dropped it. He put it on YouTube, and that show was great. Like, his special is fire.
I'll have to check it out. The YouTube specials, people are really blowing up with them, which is that's the way to do it. Like, that's obviously like the future of how things would happen, but it's just interesting to see how, like, what the trajectory of comedy specials with Netflix, right? Because they were the spot, and for the bigger people, they still are, and a lot of people still find stand-up that way. But I mean, watching them now, it's literally like watching Comedy Central when Netflix got big, because Comedy Central, they were obviously the place for stand-up. Their half hours like made careers. They had all the biggest specials, and then their executives were cutting things without asking people and trying to change all this shit and not paying people what they deserve to be paid and things like that. So folks were like, all right, we'll go over to Netflix. And Netflix, of course, at the time, and in some respects still are like, hey, we'll take you and we'll pay you like whatever. Like, we just need the content. But now, because Comedy Central, they fired, this was a little while ago, but they fucking cleaned house. They fired everybody. Netflix hired all of those people. And these are people that some of them don't have great relationships with comics already, and obviously they're coming from just this old world mindset that is not going to work. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's already happening.
Yeah.
Like, people are already just I don't even want to fuck with that. We'll just go to YouTube.
And Netflix is fighting this. They're fighting for their
They're
space
fighting
right
for
now.
their life right now.
Yeah, it's bad. So I hope they pull through, but
I will say though, like the thing I do like about but I mean I don't know, Amazon Prime's like this too. Like Netflix puts out good Netflix original movies. I don't watch all their shows, but I watch a lot of their movies that come out, and I haven't watched the two newest ones that are super popular. That one I brought up the other day, it's called Spite or something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
It's got, who did I say it's got in it?
Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller.
And Miles Teller. Yeah, it's called Spite or something.
Spider Loke?
I don't fucking know what it's called. I don't know.
That's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah, that one went
gang,
right over
Joe.
our heads.
Yeah, sorry. Whoops. Yeah. And then there's another one too that had Ryan Reynolds in it called like The Addams Project or
I
something.
seen
yeah.
that
Did
one.
you see
was,
that?
That was fire.
I didn't watch it yet. I just haven't had time, but it's been like in the top 10 for like 2 months probably.
Yeah.
But so I like those, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. It depends. Everybody's different in the way that they want to consume media now, though. Like people want, but that's the thing is, I think the problem will be sustaining like how large they are, because everybody used to watch the same stuff, right? Even even if they were super interested in it or only like partially listening halftime, because that's just what everybody watched. You could only watch what was out there. And then there was some, then there was like, you could watch the spin, like, I don't know, like this is just an example, but like sci-fi stuff, right? You couldn't watch sci-fi stuff on like basic cable back in the day. And then like every once in a while you could watch like Star Trek or whatever, like the shows and movies would come out. But now it's like, if you don't like, if you only like a specific type of content, like you just watch that and you only need to watch that. You don't need to watch the other stuff. You don't need to worry about the other things.
That's a fact.
So like that's the problem is with Netflix too, is they're so diverse, but how long can they stay that diverse when like smaller now companies start to like only focus on specific things?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Snatch up the big.
Because then like all these people that are watching like
you have all these niche streaming
yeah,
platforms. And media platforms
yeah, that
doing
niche
it
is the
best
perfect
they
word
can,
for it. Yeah.
Whereas Netflix is kind of like everything, and it's kind of watered down for
Yeah.
lack of a term.
Yeah. And
It's kind of like when it comes to sports. It's like when it comes to basketball, only focus on shooting because there's always a place on the team for a shooter. Versus if you can kind of shoot, you can kind of rebound, you can kind of play defense. It's like, well, you can kind of do everything. Where you're actually great or good at.
Yeah.
It's all about specialties now across
Yeah.
the board, as opposed to like a well-rounded anything.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none. Boom. I've wanted to say that for a long time. I've never said that out loud before. I hear people say it all the time.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
Beautifully
Sounds
done.
a lot
Glad
better
you
when
had
they
your
say
moment.
it. Yeah, no,
Check
I'm very
that
excited
off
about
your
that. Yeah. Do you want to hop into the Hoop Win of the Week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do, because I'm just going to keep going if we don't.
Yeah. No, I
But we'll go back to it. Okay, this is cut me off. Yeah, let's go to the Who Would Win. Because I want to talk about Blockbuster and stuff as well.
All right, fuck it. Let's talk about Blockbuster.
So
love
what's
Blockbuster.
interesting is, Blockbuster was the fucking best. But what's interesting is obviously Netflix. It's like replaced Blockbuster. We're all on board with that. What's interesting is how long Blockbuster was a behemoth. How long Blockbuster was able to hold its spot and in its heyday, and then Netflix took that over. And Netflix does seem to be on the decline now. Its spot in comparison was so small because the world is just moving so
It's a
fast.
different time and age.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like before, Netflix could have had decades of a great run, and now there's just no way that's going to happen.
you want to know who's still kicking it? Is Redbox. I still see Redbox.
Oh, yeah, Redbox
everywhere.
is still out.
Redbox, yeah, which is
But you can probably, if you're
Yeah, they're
Redbox
still
though,
kicking it. Are people still using it though?
I mean,
You know
somebody
what?
has to be.
somebody must be.
Well, but here's the thing, and this is a serious question, and this is why Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore. It's $1 to rent a Redbox movie, right? Or whatever. I haven't done it in a long time. It's $1, but you have to rent that movie for $1, and then you have to go back and turn it back into Redbox. Whereas you can just go. You don't even have to have Amazon Prime. You could just go on Amazon, like the streaming service, and rent literally any movie in the world for $3.99. So you're paying $3 extra to never have to.
Convenience.
Yeah. And pretty much,
Convenience is a motherfucker.
and
Man,
seriously,
you
like,
guys are taking words on my
think
mouth.
about, dude. Like I would spend $3 on a lot of things at this point in my life to not have to like do something.
And
You know, there's still one Blockbuster.
Yeah.
where is
Where
that?
is it?
Colorado or something?
I don't know. It's somewhere out
It's
there.
Fucking
somewhere.
Idaho.
Is
It's
Family
something
Video
like
still
that.
up?
I think Family Video is
don't know.
totally done now.
One of
I
the
know there
last
was one in
remaining
Virginia.
ones was in Niagara Falls.
yeah,
They
yeah,
kicked
yeah.
it for a
One in Virginia,
long
too.
time.
Yep. I think that one's even closed now. Do you know, Emily? You weren't there. You were there too. Did you see the Family Video?
It's closed, yeah.
There we go. Well, that's the thing, man. When they put that CBD sign up in the window, it's like, you guys are struggling. You guys aren't doing so good.
Take
But-
these gummies with your your VCR.
Yeah. But that was one of the best parts about going to Blockbuster is like, dude, we didn't. I feel like we usually were told no, but I remember just looking at all the candy and shit and be like, this is the fucking best thing ever.
Yeah.
And it was always like, I remember like whenever we would have a babysitter, like somebody that day would take us to Blockbuster and they would let us get a movie and like a candy. And like that was like their penance for like, yep, you're guys, we're not fucking taking care of you guys tonight. We're going out and doing something else.
And there is something so fun about like getting into the store, splitting up, and then like meeting back. Like, what did
Look
you
what I got.
what
What
did
did
you
you
pick?
find?
Yeah.
Even seeing the people from your like in the area, like you're gonna if it's Friday like between 7 and 9, you're gonna find somebody you know in
Oh,
the
yeah.
fucking Blockbuster. Like that shit was dope, man.
Yeah.
But
Real
the
community
convenience.
gatherings.
And the convenience is what is gonna let AI take over.
That's a fact.
That's what it's gonna be.
I don't have to drive my car anymore.
Wally style.
Little Wally
I
style.
don't gotta
when-
pick out my food. I can just
Yeah. I
text it.
That's actually one
We-
thing.
literally said this weeks ago or whatever, but it's gonna get to a point because Matthew was talking about this Domino's promotion thing that they had.
Yeah, the Stranger Things. Did you guys see this?
Well, it's just they
It's
made
like
this like
fake.
commercial campaign, but essentially
Yeah.
what it is like you can just pay with your Face ID on right in the Domino's app. But we had Preston in here, P. Millie, and he was like, but eventually it's gonna be they will see the look on your face, and the last time you had that look on your face, you ordered Domino's. So now Domino's pizza is gonna show up at your house. And when that first starts to happen,
Dangerous game.
it's gonna be
Your phone looks at you. That motherfucker's horny. Yeah, instantly.
and
boom.
pulls up and shoots
Yeah.
up porn.
Yeah.
That's where it's gonna be first.
Yeah.
No
You're at a
joke, that's where it's
baptism.
gonna
You're
be
like,
first.
oh shit.
Look, I'm telling you,
Why a baptism though?
It was like the first thing I could think of was like, what's one of the worst times that porn playing on your phone? Yeah.
but that's not too far though because pornography has always been at the forefront of technological advances. Like the first websites to use you can pay with your credit card through the internet were porn sites.
Which ones?
Andrew's like, let me go through my
You're
credit
right.
history real
Who
quick.
knows? Probably
Yeah.
ones that aren't around anymore. But when it starts to happen that the phone will be able to tell your mood and then give you what you need based on that, it only needs to be right a few times. Because when I think about advances like that happening, I don't even think about early adopters. I think who do they need to convince to make this huge? And it's guys like our dad, like guys in there, who are pushing 60, like older guys who sometimes, new things come out and it's like, oh, I don't know about this, but all it's got to do is be correct once or twice. And then that pizza shows up and it's like, oh, I guess I did want a Domino's. Huh, this thing's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't even have to make decisions for yourself anymore. This fucking thing's doing it for you.
Yeah,
Next
Andrew
thing you know,
did
it's
try to
like,
give
yeah.
away free will the other day when we had this conversation.
But but
He was like, I can't wait. I don't want to ever have to think for myself again.
it's not going to happen like that though. It's going to be quick, but it's going to feel gradual. You're not even going to realize it's
They're
happening.
gonna make you
We-
so happy you don't make choices for yourself.
Exactly.
We
and
need
then that's
you
gonna
to,
make you sad.
to start filibustering, Andy. Speak softly and carry a big stick.
Sounds good.
Muck busting. What was it called?
Yeah, that would muck raking,
Muckbuster.
something like that. Do those
Bro,
things.
I'm
But
terrified of all that shit. I just started using the Face ID on my phone like
I
a
still
couple
don't
months
do it.
ago.
Yeah, I have
kinda
this
don't
thing
have a
where
choice.
I have this thing where I'm super afraid of like Like, I'll buy something online, and then I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, somebody probably owns my name. Like, they have everything I've ever wanted to think. But then the next time I need something, I'm like, oh, I'll just buy it online. Why do I have to go anywhere?
Yeah.
Because it really is. It's like, it's
convenient.
I will say, I recently put my foot down and, like, stopped ordering food and getting it delivered. Unless it's, like, a pizza from an actual, like, pizza place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know what
but
you mean. Uber Eats.
I used to be like, oh, I'm hungry now, and I don't feel like missing, like, you know, the football game or something. Like, I'm just gonna order food. And finally, I got to the point where I'm like, dude, I could, where I live, I could literally go to a fast food restaurant or anything, Moe's, Chipotle, anything like that, not a sit down, but and go get food and be back within 10 minutes. Like, it is not worth the extra, like,
extra meal.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, not only that, but yeah, you're spending twice. Moe's specifically, like, I love Moe's. No free ads, but I do love Moe's. And I'll go to Moe's, and it depends on, like, how nasty I feel like getting. But, like, if I'm really like looking
how
to,
freaky you feel like getting with your burrito?
if I'm looking to do something bad, I'll spend like $16 at Moe's. Like, I'm one meal. Which is steep. Like, you go to Chipotle.
So you're Moe's over Chipotle?
I love Chipotle too.
Which one? You gotta pick.
I could never do that.
You have to.
No.
Life or death.
I'm going Moe's over Chipotle.
I don't know, dude. All right, let me finish my story and process that thought. I don't know if I could ever pick. But
Which are you, Moe's or Chipotle?
I like Chipotle.
Okay. I go Moe's. Everybody picked except you.
all right. Well, I'm not going to be able to give you a simple answer is the thing. Like, I'm going to have to start dissecting, and you guys don't want that. We'll be here all night. I don't know. I'd probably go Moe's. But I love Chipotle.
No, you said Moe's already.
Yeah. But I do.
It's
Moe's was like my first love. Like, I came out of Chipotle late. I used to be like, fuck Chipotle, I love Moe's. And then I started eating Chipotle. I was like, dude, this shit is also unbelievable.
I was the same way.
But I also get ground beef at Moe's. I get chicken at Chipotle. So it's like I can't compare the two. But if I order Uber Eats, Moe's to my house, the exact same order, and Moe's is legitimately 3 minutes away. It takes me 3 minutes to get to Moe's and 3 minutes to get home. 6 minutes total, maybe 5 minutes in Moe's. It's really 11 minutes. Yeah. And for $16, if I order Uber Eats Moe's to my house, that same exact order, it's like $37.
That's sick.
And that's with like
Lloyd's and all the popular spots. The delivery fees are insane.
Well, and it's not even that too. Like, if you look, shit is way more expensive on the Uber Eats app than it is on like if you go and order food. So that's part of it too. And yeah, it gets absolutely out of control. So I had to cut myself off. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing anything. The only time I'll ever do it is if it's like late and like I was, drinking or something, and it's like, let's get some McDonald's. It's 3 a.m. And then it's like, it is what it is.
I ordered Uber Eats to my house once, and I was hesitant, but I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I ain't about to be one of those dudes. Oh, I'm the old guy. I'm not doing this shit. So I ordered the food. The guy brings it to my door. This guy looks so fucking weird, and it looks like he's living out of his car. I was like, he looked like the count's hand.
Yeah,
like it was weird, bro.
Best and worst thing that ever happened to those apps was the leave it at the door option, because then you have to have no interaction with. One good thing to come out of fucking the pandemic, but that's when I moved into my.
You could hit leave it at the, you could hit hand it to me directly and they'll still just leave it at the door.
Yeah. Well, if I was them, I'd want to leave it at the door too. Like, I don't know. I just feel like
when I used to do DoorDash, I would prefer to leave it at the door, but when I'm getting my food, I want you to hand it to me.
Really?
Because I want to be able to see what the bag is looking like when you hand it to me
before you
directly.
leave. Yeah, because that's the worst. And the worst thing about that too, and again, this is just a laziness problem, but when you get shit like that and they don't bring you all your food, they're always like, "Oh, we'll give you an $8 refund." But it's like, yeah, but I don't have my food. I don't have what I wanted. You know what I mean? So then it's like, what good does this $8 do? I spent this $8 on this food for a reason. Like, I didn't
spend $8 on a service fee.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I don't know. All right, now let's do Who Would Win of the Week.
Okay, now I'm ready to go. I'm empty. I'm ready to do the Who Would Win. The Who Would Win of the Week this week is Al Capone versus Pablo Escobar. Now, if you say these two names to a lot of people, I think they'd go, like those two like the toughest, gangsters around. But Pablo is a different breed.
Yeah, that's obvious.
Al Capone gets a lot of credit, and I don't think he deserves a ton of it. The guy was riddled with syphilis. His brain was literally disintegrating in his body. He would not get checked for it. He would, I mean, and he's like a big guy. Like, he's a strong guy. Now I'm starting to wonder.
No, I know where you're going with this.
Okay.
Like, I think he probably killed a lot of people.
Hold on, I can't remember what Al Capone looks like.
Yeah, give him a Google.
Man, see, looking ass.
He
just looks
like
like
he
a
was
big Italian guy.
like
if you put the guy on the pizza box in like that hat, there you go. That's Al Capone.
I think he probably killed a lot of people, and that's why people were scared of him. But I don't, and I'm sure he did like some dirty stuff, especially like in his
he was
climb,
bootlegging.
But
driving.
I feel like he was never fucking like decapitating people with butter knives and shit like that, which is like that was probably Pablo Escobar's go-to if I had to imagine. I don't know. I've never talked to him.
My thing is like I feel like Pablo he had too much money and power and people that would do ridiculous things for him, like decapitate him and feed it to his hippos. But it's like I think Al Capone, like I had to be in the streets like and murder people with my hands type
Pablo
of shit.
strikes me as the type as what you said, but he came up from the dirt, so he still wants to get his hands
I was
dirty
gonna
just
say
to
like
prove that he can.
yeah, every
Or
once in a
just 'cause
while
that's what
he
does.
wants to be the one that like does.
That's valid.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like I think once Capone, like again, he would still kill with his Tommy gun.
Yeah.
You know, he would still gun people down, but I think that's the dip. That, and you kind of said it. He like Pablo Escobar wants to do that shit still. Like every once in a while, he gets a hankering for like I gotta like rip this dude's testicles off or something like that. Like he wants to
a hankering.
a hankering.
I was just feeling some type of way this morning.
Yeah.
But there's because Pablo. Let's start with Al Capone. There was people were afraid of him in a way, like if you cross him or one of his guys, like there's going to be retribution. But there was, I think a lot of his power still kind of came from like the name and like respect. And Pablo, the name as well, but fear, real fear, because if you mess with Al Capone, you're in an alley like Matthew said, you're going to get shot up. If you mess with Pablo Escobar, your bloodline is gone.
Yeah.
He's going to wipe out your
and they're probably
going to
torture you.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're not probably. They're definitely going to like make your family watch. Yeah, it's
if you get killed,
up.
if you get killed by Al Capone, you're a body. If you get killed by Pablo Escobar, you're a message to everybody else saying stop you. So Al Capone, I think
like
would go in there. Al Capone, I think would go in there very confident, and like I think he could throw a punch for sure. Like he seemed like a pretty like heavyweight type of dude, but I think that he would see a look in Pablo's eye that he had never experienced before.
Yeah. He'd be like, "What the fuck's wrong with this guy?" He'd be doing a lot of that. This guy's crazy, man. Get me out of here.
That's a great Al Capone impression, Matthew. Mark
Mark
that down.
I feel like he'd walk up to him like Pablo would walk up to Al, kind of like Michael Myers or something, with a very slow creep.
Yes, something like
yeah.
like
and I feel like Al Capone would be a little cocky about it, like have a smile on,
time.
3-piece suit, shoes shined, like walk up to him like cig in the mouth and like kind of like ash the cig like on top, like you know what I mean? And, and Pablo would just.
That's the thing, because Pablo's the kind of guy that's like, oh, I'm glad you did that.
Yeah.
Because now watch what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, I'm getting excited about this one. Yeah. I mean, I know we all know who we're going for, but like, this is fun to talk
Pablo
about.
will get up in there.
Yeah.
He's not afraid.
We'll go around then. We'll lock it in. But, I mean, it's 4 for Pablo.
Yeah, Pablo.
It's got to be 4 for Pablo.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Pablo's got this one.
You heard it here first.
Sweep.
Al Capone was a bitch.
I think he was, honestly.
Yeah.
You heard it from him.
Yeah, but I have so much respect for Pablo Escobar.
Man, I saw something about like when they finally got him, they raided his house, and he almost got away. He like jumped out a window, but then.
No, I actually watched a video on this last night. One of the first times they raided his house, they had him like lock and key, house surrounded, and they busted it in, and they couldn't find him. They were like, how the hell did this dude get away? Was he not here? And like 3 days later, when they were tearing apart his house, his bathtub lifted up into a secret tunnel, and he made it like somewhere far into South
Yeah.
America, and they ended up catching him there. That was the first time he got arrested.
That's the thing about running.
But
Like
that's how he got out of
being
prison,
a
too.
crime lord or being any like.
It's a lot of stress.
It's a lot of stress, man. It's a lot of work. It's
No.
not just, people think it's all footwork, like just the stuff that they see, but it's not. You have to have a lot of contingency plans. You have to be,
that's why.
you have to really be on your feet.
That's why I stick to the
times.
podcasting game. Like I could never be on edge like that all the time. Like if there's ever a reason for me to have a secret tunnel in my house that leads to me to be able to escape, like that's too much.
You might
man.
have to start thinking about it like
I
decisions.
should
I'll tell you
have
what,
done
though.
them differently.
I bet you it'd be a nice house.
It'd be probably cool.
Be a nice
Yeah.
house. You
Yeah.
got to dig a tunnel in.
I think
we all might need that sooner or later with this AI stuff.
I'm gonna have
Yeah. I think like,
Dante's
I'll
got
trust
3
the guy.
already. He starts digging.
Yeah, I
There's
think
a shovel in your
I
car
do
right
think,
now.
I do think like one room, like one trapdoory type
Safe
room.
room.
Yeah, safe room would be cool.
Yeah.
And maybe someday useful. But like at the end of the day, a safe room, you're like if he hid in a safe room rather than escape through a tunnel, like what, he would have been there for fucking how long would he have stayed there
Right.
before, you know what I mean? Him safe room not practical.
So
Me,
just have
much
the
more practical.
tunnel. Just have the safe room to have the tunnel connected to the safe room.
See, no. You have a safe room, but you have the tunnel in the bathroom because they're going to look for the tunnel in the safe room. You got to have it.
It's true.
We got to keep the wheels turning. You can't let them know their next move.
You have a fake safe room.
You have a
You have a fake tunnel.
I mean,
Then you have a safe room with a tunnel. You have a
Ideally-
separate tunnel
Yes.
and a separate safe room.
yes. Ideally, you have multiple of each. I specifically tunnels. You can't get away with
And you
one
make
tunnel.
one like
You're
fairly
you're
obvious.
destined- You're planning
you're
to
like-
fail if you only have one
you're
tunnel.
like, like that wall definitely has a couple seams in it that shouldn't be there.
That's an
Yeah,
odd
yeah.
placing for a
Be
bookcase.
bookshelf that
Uh-huh.
already has the book that's
Yeah.
handled.
I
Yeah,
want
that's
one of
definitely
those
the
just
safe
for
room over
fun,
there.
though.
Yeah.
Like you got, man. I remember watching a
Scooby-Doo.
episode of Cribs where somebody had that, and it was like a Harry Potter book that you would pull, and like the bookshelf. It was Order of the Phoenix. You would pull Order of the Phoenix, and the shelf would go, and like that's just a fun thing to have in your house.
Yeah. Do you remember that? I don't know if you guys ever heard of this show. You remember that episode of Psych?
Which one?
You ever heard of the show Psych? It was a USA show, like in probably like the early 2000s.
That was like,
late 2000, early 2010s.
It was like a detective show.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And
Oh, wait. I think I know what you're
he was a
talking about.
psychic.
Yeah, he's a psychic and a police detective.
Yeah. And his there was one episode where they think there's aliens. Like they're like, holy shit, like this murder was caused by an alien attack. And so they're like, there's only one guy we know who's an alien expert, and it's this guy they went to like elementary school with. And they track him down and they show up at his house, and he's got like this fucking mansion. And they're like, oh my God, this is gonna work so well. And they open it up, and he's like totally like not a nerd at the time. He's like a jock. And it turns out that he's just playing this role because his wife is super hot, and he's actually still a nerd, and he has an entire secret lair in his house that's behind a bookshelf, and it's so cool. Episode ends where they come home early, and he catches his wife about to go to a Comic-Con, so it turns out they were both nerds, neither of them were jocks.
What a beautiful
Yeah.
story.
Yeah,
What
it
a
really
beautiful
is.
story.
It
of
just
love.
makes you happy.
And I think we could all take a lot away from that.
Yeah. Be yourself, Andy.
Trying.
Well, you should maybe not totally be yourself, but most people should be themselves.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that's a message, and that's why we brought you guys here today.
Yeah.
For the important message to get that across.
Put that in the rainbow.
Everybody be themselves except Andy.
Yeah. Be yourself unless you are Andrew. And you can be yourself, actually, as long as you have a beard. Because we...
That was brutal. Thank God it grew back quick.
Yeah, it did go
You
back
went
quick.
babyface?
It was, I was acting in a play, and they had me like shave my beard fully off, and I haven't been clean shaven for 7 years, so I didn't even know what my face looked like.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, not good. So I'm glad it grew back
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
And I like.
You ever seen Shaq with a clean shave? It's disturbing. It's disturbing. It always look like a big fucking milk dud. Fucking gross.
Oh, so you're an actor?
A little bit. I'm getting back into it a little bit now. I took a break for a very long time. But
Cool.
Oh,
What
you
was the-
dabble?
What was the play you were
Dabble.
most recent? You just did.
it was like a murder mystery play or whatever. It was just a little spot in North Tonawanda. It was a good time though. It was fun.
That's cool.
Dope,
Yeah,
dope.
yeah. Feeling it's
Do you act?
Yeah.
we did
I'm acting right now.
Yeah.
yeah, all the time.
I'm acting like I don't have to pee right now. And I really have to pee. But I have too much respect to get up and leave like Andrew did.
Sorry. Well, I didn't want to cut you off during your Moe's story, but
It was really. I'm glad. It was very important that I had to get that out there. What were you gonna say? We did a what?
we did a commercial.
Oh yeah, we did do a commercial.
We got asked to do a commercial for like a haunted house thing.
Yeah,
and Matthew was
forest.
very good at it. Matthew did a great job.
I was up there. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah,
Definitely
I
not
nailed
definitely not the worst.
No.
Of the. But
Maybe
anyways.
the best. You only had like a small, for
but
whatever
that's what
reason,
I
of
do,
all the
baby.
people, like they were like, you have to be in every single like section of this commercial.
Because he's the face.
I have a face, and they were like, Andrew, you have this small role where you get to talk for 20 seconds because it was shot to be like a short story for this like, yeah. It was cool. It was cool to do. I will say I was very nervous the first day I went. I'd never done anything like that before, but sometimes the cameras come on and you just boom. It just happens. What can you say?
So is Canada y'all real last name?
Yes.
Like, what kind of last name is that? Like,
Yeah.
no disrespect. But like,
No disrespect, but what the fuck's wrong with you guys? Which is fair. Which is a fair question.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like Mr. Canada, born in America.
Yeah. That's the least of our issues too, is our last name. But
Well, for a while we didn't know, and we still kind of don't. But our aunt did some research, and as far as we can tell, it might be Welsh.
I'm convinced that ancestry, DNA, or all that shit,
But she didn't get it from there, though. I
think all that shit is so made up.
It's full of shit.
Every person that's ever taken is like, oh, I've got some European, and so
every
no
black
shit.
person. Oh my God, I'm Nigerian. I'm from Ghana. Like what?
Yeah, I think it's full of shit. That's just me personally.
I seen the video. There's a TikTok. A guy, he swabbed his iguana, and he sent it in there. And his iguana was Nigerian, and about 8% European.
Well, maybe that's just maybe it is even high. What if that iguana had some Nigerian in his bloodline, and they're next level? They're taking iguana stats now.
I was about to say something really racist. He said they thought the iguana was a scammer, a Nigerian prince.
Yeah, that's funny as hell.
I got Nigerian friends. I'll be all right.
Yeah, I think you'll be okay.
Listen, there's something to be said about the whole Nigerian prince scam, because there's still people doing it. So obviously it's fucking working.
Yeah,
I never understood how people fell for that shit in the first
It's
place.
old people. That's what it is.
That's
It's
what it
old people.
always is. Or
Yeah.
lonely people who don't have
Yeah.
Just people that are not used to using email or whatever. I think.
Facts.
Oh my God, this person is in love with me, but they can't get to the U.S. unless I give them my entire savings.
Yeah, that's the worst one. I remember
Every
seeing
week.
Yeah.
Anything for love.
Yeah, I just give
Seeing
them my
a
whole. Yeah,
couple,
anything for love, man.
couple
Which
Dr.
is,
Phil
and that's the
episodes
thing is
about
you
that.
got. I mean,
Brutal.
listen, you got to respect the hustle, because you got to think, how many people are they out there right now in love affairs with? Their whole day is committed to telling so many people their feelings, and
Right.
there's a lot of people out there that can't even tell one.
Shout out to the
Everybody
Tinder swindler.
Exactly. Everybody should learn
swindler.
something from people like that. I never watched that
Full-time job.
documentary.
They got an idea. They're
I
committed.
haven't watched it either.
But I heard, there's this one guy I know who was like, dude, I watched it. It's kind of bullshit. He wasn't stealing money for them. They were giving him their money. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's called a scam. What do you? He's like, yeah, but shouldn't you have to be smart enough to understand that? I'm like, well, you have a point there, but you still can't lie to people to take their money. It's just unfortunately not how it works.
That's the worst one though. People are just they want to believe so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Well, all right, Andy.
Time to go already?
Yeah, it's time to go already. We went, too. We
Yeah,
went.
we gotta go.
We had almost an hour 20.
How long do you guys usually record for? Do
What
you,
an hour? Anywhere from 40 to an hour.
okay.
I think our longest might have been with Chandra. We did an hour.
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
Well, you have.
Yeah.
I mean,
An
you
hour
have
and
to.
a half for
Amber.
was it Genesis? I think
We
Genesis.
we,
was
we
like-
interviewed him twice though. I don't know
Yeah.
which one.
Yeah.
But I think our longest is probably about an hour and a half.
That happens, too. It's the best when you can get people to come back on, because then they're, they know exactly what they're walking into. They're ready to go the second they walk into it. But, no, I mean, it was a blast having you guys on. I fucking enjoyed it.
I have a question. Before.
Oh, yeah? No,
Did we talk about how you guys got started? Or why you wanted to start a podcast?
I think
Kind
so.
of. it was really. I mean, I'll let Andrew talk more about
that. Was I don't remember what the beginning of this episode was.
Kind of. I like low-key. I like brush
during
up.
COVID.
Yeah, it really was like.
Well,
yeah, you tell your side of it.
So, truth be told, and this I've never even told you, I don't think, but as the pandemic was going on, I was depressed. Like,
well, the pandemic didn't start
bad.
yet when we.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, it was going. Something bad. I was depressed. That's all I remember. And I was like, fuck, there's got to be something that I'm doing that is like, doesn't make me feel bad. And it was this other podcast that I was doing. So I was like, well, let's just put more of that. And I was like, but let's do it like different. Like, let's do it like a podcast that I would want to listen to. And then I was like, I'll do it with Matthew because, you know, I don't have to talk if I don't want to for like a whole episode. The kid can carry it all on his own. And then I literally just like was sitting at work and texted him, do you want to do a podcast? And he went, sure. And I said, let's call it Two in the Cooler. And he went, okay. And then that was it.
Podcast.
Magic.
Yeah.
Didn't take much. That's why when people ask that question, I'm like, it's a great story.
Yeah.
So you'll never believe it.
But you guys probably know, like anybody, you're like, anytime you bring up a podcast and I could do a podcast. Everybody can do a
thinks
podcast.
they can do a podcast.
Yeah, our mother is insistent that we should get her own show. Well, I never will, ever, not a day in my life. No, love you, Mom, but no.
That's a commitment issue with her. She wouldn't show up every week.
No. But she tell the same story a lot.
Well, yeah.
But that happens.
That's what parents tend to
yeah,
do.
That's
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah. No, it's all good. But no, and it's been a fun ride. I'm sure you guys can say the same. Like once you just dive into it and you just like commit to it, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I this is the most fun I've had. Like just being able to like really use all of my skills, and it's like it kind of like test. It's like a test. Like like who are we gonna have next week? Can you top that? And it's like you constantly competing with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what
we talk about it all the
love
time
that.
too. It's like, you know, and we never, like, I don't think, you know, and I'm sure people out there would disagree with me, but I never leave here like, damn, like that was a bad episode. But you come here and you're like, you know, you gotta bring the energy, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what's so nice about having guys like you on. Is like you guys know what it is. Like you guys can sit there and talk just as much as we can, and we don't have to sit here and like, you know, badger you guys for information. And we've been lucky with a lot of the guests that we have that they're like that. I'm sure you guys could probably say the same.
But it's like what you were saying though. Like sometimes it is fun to, you know, you got to challenge yourself with stuff.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite episodes we ever did was with Hood Star Jack and Young Fetty, and you know they came in and they were a little like they weren't really sure like how it was gonna go and stuff. But the last 15 minutes of that episode, when we start talking about superpowers and shit,
oh yeah,
that is
we got
one of the most fun
rails.
That is one of the most fun times ever had.
It was a blast.
When I see Fetty's reaction to some of the stuff, I'm like, he barely smiled on Iron.
Yo, when they were going back and forth, and it's like, my superpower would be I'd have all superpowers. It's like that's not a superpower. Did you guys listen, dude?
And he was so
sitting here,
like
I was
I
crying.
fucking.
I'm like, well, that's the case. I changed my answer. I want every superpower. Like, yeah.
And that's and I honestly like I'll be fans of those guys forever now because it was so fun talking to them like that. And they're good dudes and they're obviously both super talented.
Hood Star Jack a week ago at some clothing store.
We're
you got a project dropping soon.
We're
nice.
Shout out to the Hood Poet.
Yeah, I really, really liked that album. I thought it was great.
Big facts. They hold. I fuck with Money Set.
Yeah,
like everything. Like like once again, like meeting the people and like genuinely like like I'm gonna support you, like regardless. And like that's what I get a genuine vibe from them boys.
And talking to them too, and it was so cool because like obviously they, you know, are together a lot and they work together and stuff like that. But like hearing them. Like the mindsets that each one of them has, like we asked them both separately, and one side was like I just want to, you know, work as hard as I can and like make this name, and then the other side was like I just love music, like I'm just gonna do what I do, I don't care what anybody says. And we talked about it for a while because you're like,
guess Jack said the last one and Fetty was the first.
I'd have to go back and watch.
I believe, I'm pretty sure that's
but,
true.
Yeah, and it was like two completely different attitudes. But then we started talking about it and like saying, like kind of getting off the rails, like kind of saying like how we were trying to understand like how that works together. And they were both saying the same thing, just they had different mindsets on it. Like they both wanted to get to the same point, and one of them, it was like one side of it was like, like I want, I'm gonna like work my balls off to get there, and like,
same goal, different path.
yeah, exactly. And it
Just
was
taking
cool to
different
hear
roads.
because it's like, okay, now this makes sense. Like now we see exactly why you guys are doing what you're doing, and it goes full circle to what we talked about at the beginning of the episode. Like hearing that out of artists and understanding, okay, like this person isn't just doing this for whatever. Like they actually care about it, and that's important too.
Word. And that's kind of like some of the criteria I do with some of the artists we have on or all of the artists, honestly. It's like if you don't like genuinely care about music, I don't want to fucking sit down with you. Like you made a music video last week, and you're like, yo, I need to be on here because I do music now.
Yeah.
Like I know a dozen people who've been making music for 5 years plus, like who are like really dying, like love this shit.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, if you want to be on the show, DM our Instagram account, because Andrew gets them all, and I think it's hysterical, and none of them. I mean, we do bring on actual people that DM the show, but like a lot of people, you guys, is that how? Yeah, see, like
Which
actual
was
people.
hilarious because I was gonna text you. I was probably gonna wait a couple weeks to text you, but then I was gonna. It just worked out
Like
perfectly.
we've had, I mean, probably a good over a handful of guests that we've like met through social media like that. But we also get so many like DMs that it's like what are you gonna? Yeah,
the thing that I
all of them.
it's so, but that's why I think it's hysterical because I don't. Andrew,
but I
sees them all.
The thing
so.
I always say is like, there's a lot of abandoned Instagram accounts out there, especially for podcasts, right? Like, there's a lot of fucking Instagram accounts that have 2 posts. It's like, hey, coming soon. They never come. They're just out there in the ether. Fucking.
It gets Andrew. He gets very upset about all his Instagram.
It's just-
Sometimes he just searches Instagram accounts like that, just scrolls. through them
Sometimes
just to
I
see
do.
all the dead dreams in the world.
I mean, but it's like it's motivating though. I
Yeah.
just sit in the dark and blow through and like.
Because
never be like
a lot of other podcasts were like hitting us up like, yo,
Yep.
can we come on there? Or,
Always.
yo, come on here. And it's like, give us some time.
We
Yeah.
get hit up by more podcasts than anything else, or like people like doing podcasts.
And we love having like but you know how it is.
Well, we
There's
just
we
love
only,
talking to
we
people,
and we only
obviously,
we do one episode a week, so there's only actually this week we did 2. Shout out to us. Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah,
fucking
great job.
Yeah, grinding 2 episodes a week, boys. What's up?
I wish we could do that every week. I wish we could do more episodes, but that's the way it is for now.
Yeah.
For now, soon.
Yeah, for now.
But again, man, you guys are fun to talk to.
Yeah,
we
it was a
appreciate
blast.
you guys
We
coming
appreciate
on.
you
I
guys
hope you had a
coming
good
in.
time.
Man, this was
It was
fun,
great.
definitely.
Yeah. No, I mean that's I appreciate I don't know if Andrew caught it, but I appreciated what you guys were kind of hinting at earlier when you were like, that's why you guys were looking forward to come on because we just
It's the work ethic. Like you can see yourself in others, like other people, and it's like I know when people care about what they're doing, and it's like if you got a passion for what you're doing, it's like I'll definitely support you.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
it's
listen,
like
we just love the pod, man.
hell yeah.
Potters.
Yeah.
Potters night.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking even I mean, I can't believe I'm about to pay a compliment, but even Emily loves the pod. Emily's in here for like at least 3 podcasts a week now, right? Practically.
Usually, yeah. One of them's like 4 hours.
Yeah. And the other one is just
Absolutely
disgusting.
insane.
Yeah.
That's the one Emily's got it because you got to bleep a lot of stuff on that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. It's Emily's biggest test yet. Yeah. But thank you guys for coming on. Seriously. Before
Shout
we
outs real
take out,
quick. Yeah. Plugs.
tell
What do you want the people to know?
I know we talked about it a little bit, but tell people where they can find you guys individually, where they can listen to the show, where they can find all the content you guys are putting out.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at No Label the Pod. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube. It's all No Label the Pod. My personal page is at Side Effects. It's SEYEDEFX.
And my personal page is Beyond Prolific. You can also catch us on Twitter. No Label the Pod, same thing. So No Label the Pod across all platforms.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put all that in that
it'll-
episode description.
Yeah, it'll all be there. So go
Links.
check that stuff out. I mean, seriously, for us, it's helpful too because I feel like because we've had so many artists on, we have a section of our following that loves to listen to artists. So it's nice to have you guys on to be able to talk about what it's like, because we don't, like we said, we don't always talk a ton of music with these people, right? So it's nice that that's it right there. Go check that shit out. Go, hear these people from a completely different perspective, and not listen to my dumbass ask, questions about what it's like to be on stage, because all I've ever done is sing karaoke. So,
man, we appreciate you guys.
For sure.
Appreciate you, man. This was fucking fun. This is one of those ones that I don't want to leave the room.
Yeah.
So Matthew's got to
have
close
to
it out.
He'll go. There's been times where I let my guard down and I look over and we're at 2 hours and I'm like, people have things to do. We have to. Andy,
those are the good ones.
Andy, I love you.
I love you too. Thanks again, guys. Thanks, folks. Let's get out of here.